Hey guys, welcome back to the BuzWeaver channel. And in our top stories, I have to say to all of you who watch the BuzWeaver channel and or have been subscribers for quite some time, I want you to take a moment right now and congratulate yourselves for being on the cutting edge of societal evolution, as the great Rush Limbaugh used to say, because here on the BuzWeaver channel, we take the difficult, we take the complicated, we take the chaos, and we make it as simple as possible, because the mainstream media, the establishment, the elites, the cancel culture, woke crowd, and outrage mobs are trying to create as much chaos as they can. And so here today we have from the Daily Mail, in their wording now, because I typically don't use this sort of language unless I'm being absolutely, particularly specific to something that I can absolutely prove. So their language is something that I would agree with wholeheartedly. Daily Mail, with blatant lies like these about the inflation crippling America, it's no wonder that Biden's approval rating is in the toilet. A blistering takedown by the top business chief, Andy Puzder. Now, let me just say this. It takes a lot to get to this conclusion, because the mainstream media works with the Democrats, works with the tech giants, special interests, and activists to try and make Biden look as good as possible, because he is their man. He's the establishment's man, because they were not going to let Trump hold them back another 4 years while the country prospered and succeeded, while the people prospered and succeeded, and they didn't. And we see it right here. So when people say, well, isn't that a bit of an exaggeration? Isn't that a bit sensationalizing? Isn't that a bit biased to say that the establishment is the one that's causing all this problem and Joe Biden was a selected president? Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. No exaggeration, no sensationalizing at all. Joe Biden's administration has consistently lied and lied again to the American people about the economy. But none of these lies come close to their laughable statements on inflation, the rapidly rising prices plaguing American families. Apparently, they are either highly unlikely, transitory, temporary, decelerating, and or peaking. Look, it's hard enough for me to even just to read this, because the infuriation that this creates for me is absolutely astonishing. Now, I also say this because I talk to my friends, I talk to individual people, and it seems that a lot of them aren't paying as much attention. Now, please understand, I don't expect individuals like yourselves who stay on the cutting edge here on the BuzWeaver channel, who like and share and provide this to their friends. I don't anticipate that everyone is going to have the same level of knowledge or information or desire to really pursue this, because it can be very exhausting. It can be very fatiguing. But if you are a follower of the BuzWeaver channel, I would go ahead and click that like button if you are informed and aware, or you are provided by me here on the channel. Another thing I just want to say here is that lately I've noticed that my shorts have been amazing and extraordinary, while my primary uploads, like this video here, gets a lot of deranked. I'm just deranked. I can't compete with the mainstream media, and the mainstream media is who YouTube wants to present, particularly since all of the misinformation and disinformation nonsense. The White House inflation lies. Now, you can see here this chart. Now, I use this chart also. I'll also like to use this. So if you're not following me on social media, make sure you are on Twitter or Instagram. Some of the mainstreams, if you want to follow me on mainstream. Then, of course, I have all of the subsequent new tech that you can find links to below this video. But it's the same thing that has been said for quite some time. So the media has their own narrative. They have their own direction, and they really, it's difficult to even articulate. It's difficult to articulate something as absurd as what the media is engaged in, other than to say lies and just pure evil, as Tim Pool would say. Just pure evil. Just direct, specific, intentional mis- and disinformation. So we see here back in January 2021, Biden inauguration. Psaki, it's transitory. Biden, it'll go back down. Yellen, it's transitory. Psaki, it's decelerating. Biden, it's because of big meat. So excuse after excuse after excuse. And here's the other thing, too. I just want to show you this. The other day, I went back and checked this particular tweet. So I saved this tweet. It's back from March. But when I checked it, you'll notice this little note added on here from Twitter. Biden, make no mistake, inflation is largely the fault of Putin. Our inflation is largely due to Putin. Remember, gas was also Putin. And let me tell you something. I watched a video from a Russian guy, and he was saying because of the sanctions, Bayer and other Johnson & Johnson and other pharmaceutical companies have stopped sending certain types of medication. For example, people going to the dentist aren't getting the proper Novocaine. And he mentioned that someone in his family suffers from a thyroid problem, and they're not getting their proper medication. So they're having to resort to these generic brands from either China or Russia who don't provide the best quality of product, probably not even a good quality control of a product. And so when they go to the dentist or they go to the doctor, if they want that good quality Johnson & Johnson, Bayer, or any other pharmaceutical product, they have to pay extra for it. So you got Russia, who's sanctioned into the ground, is somehow affecting our economy, the superpower of the United States that Biden was supposed to be building back up. He was handed a thriving economy. He was handed a thriving energy-independent country. And yet here's Biden going across the world, going to our enemies, basically our adversaries in Venezuela and in Saudi Arabia and or in the Middle East, and asking them for oil. And of course, he also is selling what's called our dirty crude, or our highly, or our oil that has more sulfur in it than normal, that has to be cleaned up. See, we were getting all that clean oil from Russia. So they were doing all the sulfur, removing sulfur and other additives and making it nice and clean. But we're selling our emergency reserve to China, which I saw Senator Josh Hawley was going to pursue this in a hearing. Now, that's something that should come to a hearing, not this stupid, ridiculous January 6th nonsense, which I just saw one of the lead senators there that's leading that has COVID. And COVID just means that someone needs to go and be out of the limelight for about a week. That's what that means. So when you see any of these politicians get COVID or the pandemic, I think I can say COVID now, that's because they need to go on a lid for about a week or so. So, wow. I mean, that's just, ladies and gentlemen, if you're following my channel, thank you for your support, because sometimes I feel like, the insanity of it all. How can people not see this? How can people not recognize that this is happening now? Of course, with higher gas prices and grocery store, they're actually feeling it. They're actually feeling it. So now I'm sure you guys understand, but I just want to end it on this positive note here from One American News Network. Prosecutors drop murder charges against New York City bodega worker. Now, you guys may recall that this gentleman in here, this gentleman here, his girlfriend came in with an EBT card, a food stamp card, to purchase something, and it was rejected. And so her boyfriend, this guy, comes in and assaults this bodega owner, the 61-year-old bodega owner, Joseph Alba. And so he was charged with murder by the DA. And of course, all these are dropped now. But I think if he were in the UK or in Europe anywhere, he probably would have been charged, because I just don't understand the reasoning behind some of the things that they do in the UK and or Europe. When I'm glad to see that here in the United States, we still are able to defend ourselves, even if it's not what would be considered like equal force and that sort of thing like they use in the UK and EU and stuff. Look, it's ridiculous. But nonetheless, guys, that's what I have for you on this top story here today, is that the country is continuing to suffer under Joe Biden, the selected president. And of course, that's what we can anticipate. I'm interested to see how it's going to move forward. But apparently to the Democrats, the January 6th is the most important thing, apparently. But nonetheless, guys, thank you so much for your continued support, your likes, your shares, and your comments. All of you from New Tech, I want to thank all of you guys. And, of course, appearing there on the screen, that would be the channel icon to subscribe and or receive notifications. That way you know when there's content here on the channel. And I'll see you guys in the next video.